The hospital hallway was silent. A 32-year-old African woman sat alone, holding her husband's hand. Tears rolled down her face. For 12 years, everyone had called her Barren. Her mother-in-law never missed a chance to humiliate her. "You'll never give our family a child." Neighbors laughed. Relatives whispered behind her back. Even her husband had started losing hope. Then, the doctor walked out of the operating room. Everyone stood up. But before he could speak, a black luxury SUV stopped outside the hospital. An elderly African billionaire rushed inside. The nurses immediately recognized him. Without saying a word, he walked straight toward the crying woman, dropped to his knees, and said, "Daughter, I finally found you." The entire hospital froze. Even her husband couldn't believe what he was seeing. The woman everyone called Barren was about to discover a secret that would change her life forever. For 12 long years, every morning began with the same insult. "Still no baby. What's the use of calling yourself a wife?" Amina lowered her head and quietly continued sweeping the courtyard. She had heard those words so many times. They no longer made her cry, but they still broke her heart. Amina was a beautiful 32-year-old African woman. Kind, respectful, hardworking. She had married Daniel, a humble school teacher, when they were both young. They loved each other deeply. Their marriage wasn't built on money. It was built on loyalty. Every month they visited another hospital. Every month they prayed for good news. Every month they returned home disappointed. No matter how many tests they took, no matter how many doctors they visited, everyone blamed only one person: Amina. Daniel's mother, Margaret, never accepted her. Whenever relatives visited, Margaret would point toward Amina and loudly say, "That woman has cursed my family. She has closed our bloodline. My son deserves children, not excuses." The visitors nodded. Some whispered. Others laughed openly. Amina smiled politely, then disappeared into the kitchen where nobody could see her crying. Daniel always comforted her. "Don't listen to them. I married you, not your ability to have children." His words gave her strength. But even Daniel had started changing. Years of pressure from family slowly filled his heart with doubt. One evening, Margaret invited the entire family for dinner. The large dining table overflowed with expensive food. Laughter filled the room, until Margaret suddenly stood up. She picked up a tiny baby shoe from the table, holding it in front of everyone. She smiled. "I bought this 12 years ago. I thought my grandchildren would wear them." She slowly turned toward Amina. "But I guess they'll never be used." The entire room fell silent. Amina felt hundreds of eyes staring at her. Her hands trembled beneath the table. Margaret wasn't finished. "I've already spoken to another family. They have a beautiful young woman. Healthy, strong, and most importantly, she can give my son children." Daniel looked shocked. "Mother, enough." But Margaret ignored him. She slammed the baby shoe onto the table. "You deserve a real wife." Amina quietly stood. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Then walked outside before anyone could see the tears streaming down her face. That night, she cried until sunrise. The next morning, Daniel found her sitting alone beneath the old mango tree. He held her hand. "I'm never leaving you." She looked into his eyes. "Promise." "I promise." For the first time in months, she smiled. Days later, their doctor called unexpectedly. "I'd like both of you to come to the hospital. We need to repeat some tests." Margaret laughed when she heard the news. Another waste of money. Doctors can't create miracles. Still, Daniel and Amina went. Hours passed inside the hospital. Blood tests. Scans. More waiting. Finally, the doctor invited Daniel into another examination room. Amina remained alone in the hallway. Her heart pounded. She closed her eyes and silently prayed. God, if motherhood isn't my destiny, please give me the strength to accept it. Suddenly, a loud commotion echoed through the hospital entrance. Security guards hurried toward the front doors. Doctors whispered. Nurses stopped walking. Outside, a convoy of black luxury SUVs pulled into the parking lot. A distinguished elderly African man stepped out. He looked nearly 70. Elegant navy suit. Silver hair. A polished walking cane. Several bodyguards surrounded him. Hospital staff immediately greeted him with respect. Good afternoon, Mr. Adeyemi. The chairman is waiting upstairs. But the old man ignored them. Instead, he slowly looked around the crowded hallway. His eyes searched every face. Then, they stopped. He stared directly at Amina. His walking cane slipped from his hand. Tears instantly filled his eyes. Bodyguards rushed toward him. Sir. He gently pushed them aside. Without saying a word, he walked toward Amina. Patients moved out of his way. Doctors watched in confusion. The old billionaire stopped only inches from her. His lips trembled. Then, to everyone's complete shock, he slowly dropped to his knees. The entire hospital gasped. Amina stepped backward. Sir, I think you've mistaken me for someone else. The old man looked into her eyes, smiling through tears. No. I've spent 32 years searching for this face. He carefully reached into his wallet, removing an old, faded photograph. The picture showed a tiny newborn baby wrapped in a blue hospital blanket. Around the baby's neck hung a small silver pendant. The exact same pendant Amina had worn around her neck since childhood. The old man's hands shook uncontrollably. My daughter. I finally found you. The hallway fell completely silent. Daniel walked out of the examination room just in time to hear those words. Margaret, who had secretly followed them to the hospital, stood frozen near the entrance. Nobody understood how the woman they had spent 12 years calling worthless had suddenly become the long-lost daughter of one of Africa's richest and most respected billionaires. The hospital hallway became completely silent. Doctors stopped walking. Nurses froze in place. Even the security guard stared in disbelief. One of Africa's most respected billionaires was kneeling before the woman everyone had spent years humiliating. Amina stepped back. Her voice trembled. There must be some mistake. I've never seen you before. The elderly billionaire smiled through tears. My name is Samuel Adeyemi. And 32 years ago, I lost my newborn daughter. He slowly held up the faded photograph. She disappeared from this very hospital only hours after she was born. My wife died searching for her. I spent half my fortune trying to find our child. My investigators searched every country, every village, every orphanage. But we never found her. He gently pointed toward the silver pendant around Amina's neck. My wife had that pendant specially made. There is only one like it in the world. Daniel looked at the necklace. For 12 years, he had seen Amina wear it every day. She once told him, I don't know where it came from. My adoptive mother said I was wearing it when she found me. Samuel carefully opened a small velvet box. Inside was the matching half of the same silver pendant. The two pieces fit together perfectly. Tears filled Amina's eyes. No. This can't be real. Samoa nodded slowly. It is. You are my daughter. Unable to control himself, he embraced her tightly. Both of them cried. The entire hospital watched in silence. Even Margaret, the woman who had called Amina Barren for years, could barely breathe. But the greatest surprise had not yet come. At that moment, the fertility specialist walked out of the examination room holding several medical reports. He looked confused. Mr. Daniel. I've been looking for you. Daniel stepped forward. The doctor smiled gently. I have wonderful news. Margaret quickly interrupted. Don't waste our time. My daughter-in-law has been barren for 12 years. The doctor frowned. I'm afraid you've misunderstood. He looked directly at Amina. Mrs. Amina. All of your test results are completely normal. The hallway became silent again. Margaret laughed nervously. Impossible. There must be another report. The doctor calmly shook his head. There isn't. He opened another file. We also completed additional tests on Mr. Daniel. Daniel's heart began racing. The doctor spoke carefully. For years, everyone blamed the wrong person. The fertility problem was never your wife. It was you. Daniel lowered his head. The doctor continued. A treatable medical condition reduced your fertility. With proper treatment, you still have an excellent chance of becoming a father. Amina covered her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. For 12 years, she had carried a burden that never belonged to her. The whispers, the insults, the humiliation, the loneliness. All because people had judged without knowing the truth. Margaret slowly stepped backward. Her face turned pale. No. That can't be. The doctor looked at her family. It can. And it is. You blamed an innocent woman. Margaret's legs became weak. She collapsed into a nearby chair. Every cruel word she had ever spoken echoed inside her mind. Cursed. Worthless. Barren. She had destroyed the heart of the very woman who had done nothing wrong. Unable to stop crying, Margaret slowly stood. She walked toward Amina. For the first time in 12 years, she lowered her head. I'm sorry. I judged you. I shamed you. I never once asked if you were hurting. I only cared about grandchildren. I forgot how to care about my son's wife. The proud woman who had once insulted Amina before the entire family now fell to her knees. The hospital staff watched in stunned silence. Margaret reached for Amina's hands. Can you ever forgive me? Amina looked at the woman who had caused her so much pain. For a long moment, she remembered every insult, every tear, every lonely night. She could have walked away. Instead, she gently helped Margaret stand. I forgave you long before today. Because carrying hate would only keep hurting me. Margaret broke down completely. She hugged Amina tightly. Even Daniel couldn't hold back his tears. Samoa watched quietly. His heart filled with pride. My daughter. Your mother would have been so proud of the woman you've become. Weeks later, Samoa officially introduced Amina as his only daughter and heir during a nationally televised charity event. Business leaders applauded. Government officials welcomed her. News channels across Africa shared her remarkable story. But the greatest surprise came months afterward. Daniel completed his medical treatment. One beautiful morning, Amina walked into the living room holding another hospital report. She smiled through happy tears. Daniel looked at her nervously. What is it? Without saying a word, She placed the ultrasound picture into his hands. His eyes filled with tears instantly. He looked at Amina. You. She nodded. We are going to be parents. Daniel cried openly as he hugged her. Samuel laughed with joy. Margaret fell to her knees again. But this time, she wasn't crying from guilt. She was thanking God. 9 months later, a healthy baby girl was born. Margaret gently held her granddaughter in her arms. The tiny baby wrapped her fingers around Margaret's hand. Margaret whispered through tears. I almost lost all of this. Because I judged someone without knowing the truth. Amina smiled. Looking around the room filled with love. She softly said, people may judge your worth by what they can see. But God always knows the truth hidden inside your heart. And from that day forward, no one in that family ever used the word Barren again. Because they had learned a lesson they would never forget. A person's value is never measured by what they have, but by who they are.